I've got this little nagging voice in the back of my head, and this little baby tiny voice makes me want to get my ass back in gear and go do something more productive. This happens to me the most when I'm playing video games. Almost any time I'm playing a game that isn't fully grabbing my attention, that little baby voice rears its ugly head. That's why it kinda sucks that it happens to me with this game. Well, a game in a game. When I was playing this with my friends, it didn't really occur to me how grindy it was until I was all alone and the only one left playing. I've also come to realize the grind may have gotten worse since me and my friends were playing on this Minecraft server. This 100% is going to be the most niche topic I have ever covered in a video, so if you stop watching now, I don't blame you. As a small aside before we start, the server has a ton of pretty complicated and at times confusing information about it if you want to know the full inner workings and such. So, I'm going to keep most of the explaining brief and tell you only what you need to know to understand my points. If I explained absolutely everything about the server, we'd be here all day and you'd leave more confused than when the video started. So, without further ado, what we have here is a Minecraft server that is modded with a fan-made Pokémon mod. You can do mostly all the normal Pokémon things here. Catch real and new custom Pokémon, battle NPCs and other players, trade, breed, the usual. Really, the only thing the server is missing is the traditional RPG aspects of the earlier Pokemon games. You know, going town to town in the story. If you could even call it a story. The server currently is bustling and always has a ton of players online. It's pretty active. The player gyms can be fun and challenging. Yes! Giffy cat! Giffy cat! Giffy cat!
Brought it back around, good job.
It's fun to play with new custom Pokemon and figure out how they slot onto a team. Collecting the non-10-hour plus grind Pokemon is pretty fun. Basically, the older Pokemon, or the non-legendaries. Most of the custom Pokemon are OU legal and single battles, meaning, for the most part, they are competitively balanced, and they are able to be used in the player-run gyms and in tournaments. There are events held most days of the week where you can compete in minigames and get rewards if you win or lose. If you are a super casual player that is only going to spend a very small amount of time with the server, then you'll probably be fine. There's enough to keep you entertained, and you'd be on your merry way once you realize how much time they are actually expecting you to invest. But if you're like me, and you're super anal about getting all the custom Pokemon and filling out your PC with them, it is going to cost you a considerable amount of time and effort. And it could actually cost you real money if you want to speed up this process. You can't directly buy in-game money, but what you can do is buy credits to use on certain in-game things like skin crates. Yes, this is that kind of Minecraft server. And some other less sought-after cosmetics and server ranks that give you certain buffs like flight in the survival world or access to certain commands that make your life a tiny bit easier. You can buy these for people and they will pay you in-game money for them. The going rate when I was playing was around 10 USD for $1 million in-game, which is fairly low if you're asking me. Some of the rarer Pokemon, and especially if it's a new rare Pokemon, can go for around 3 to 5 mil. And you should be asking me, because my dumbass spent a lot of money on the server when I had an extremely disposable income at my last job. My real problem with the server is the grind. I've played less grindy gacha games than this, and that is not an exaggeration. Most of my friends who stopped playing when I asked them why they stopped, it was because of the grind. At the end of the day, you could just not do it, or spend enough in-game / actual money to get around the grind. But I'm a collector, goddammit, and I want all the funny Pokemon I can get my hands on. Look at this guy. He's great. That's what fueled this video. I wanted the shiny new toys that released on the server. Mega Manaphy, Delta Latios, and Delta Latias. All of which are legal to be used in player gyms and tournaments. Starting off with Mega Manaphy, this little guy couldn't have taken that long to get, right? Battle Bond Greninja, son of a bitch. That's not terrible, but god fucking damn it nonetheless.
Johnny upgrade tips for you, Johnny fan.
God damn it! Fucking Battle Bond Greninja! You can have it. Oh, it's a Fion. That's not that good. These are very cheap. Come on, escalators, 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 escalators! Eels. Escalators. Eels. Another fucking Fion! Come on. Fuck me in the ass! What the hell? I streamed my entire grind for this Pokemon, and I spent 9 hours and 42 minutes, and got jack shit. What I was looking for was a rare chance in the fishing minigame where this Magikarp right here turns into a Feebas and starts to freak the fuck out. That green bar is only that big because of an upgrade that I bought that makes it easier. Normally, it is half that size, and most of the fishing upgrades are temporary. You get 100 chances, then you have to go buy all of that over again. I fished for all that time and didn't pull the Mega Manaphy Stone once. I did pull enough valuable other Pokemon to buy one for about 2.5 mil though. Any other time of the year, I'd be fine with that. I'd lick my wounds and go home with that one Pokemon that I wanted. But this time, I was hunting for 3 Pokemon in all, and the other 2, being Delta Latios and Latias, were a part of the spring event. For these 2 Pokemon, you had to do spring dungeons, which are slow, boring, grueling RNG fests where you have a small chance to get anything worthwhile. As I stated earlier, when I know I'm wasting my time on something, I get pissy, and I'd rather be doing something more valuable with my time. If I was sane, I would have stopped after not pulling the Manaphy Stone. But I am insane, and that's why I spent 6 hours and 50 minutes farting around and trying to get everything I needed for these 2 Pokemon. The only thing good about these spring dungeons is they are faster than the normal dungeons. You gotta do these tasks on the side of the screen with a team of people you went into the dungeon with and beat the boss at the end. Normally, these event dungeons were fairly easy from what I played. The Christmas dungeon was basically free admission. There were so many key fragments lying around that people just let you join for free. With the spring dungeon though, it was actually kind of hard to get in. They were a lot more rare this time around. They decided to be bastards and make the key fragments you need to get in harder than the other seasonal events that came before. Luckily for me, one of the easiest ways of getting these key fragments was fishing, so I was alright. But because of this decision, you couldn't constantly go into dungeons for your chance of getting what you want. Oh no, that would be too easy. This time around, players started having others pay fragments to get into their parties for the dungeon, and the math didn't really work out. There would be parties of 5, and you would only need 4 fragments to get in, and every time the party owner would ask everyone for a fragment. That quite doesn't math out, does it? So people were hosting dungeons just so they wouldn't have to pay admission. I picked up on this and wondered if I could do this too, and I was right. Boom. See if I don't have to pay. Boom, 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 boom. Well, we got in for free and we're just bum rushing. If you hosted dungeons during this spring event, you could pretty easily just not pay admission and get other people to foot your bill. And I ended up having a few free runs from this. Getting Delta Latios and Latias themselves wasn't the hard part. They took me about 2 days to get. Once I checked the GTS after getting both of them, did I realize the real grind hasn't even started yet. In the dungeons, there are very small Pokeballs littered around the map. They are usually just a small bonus and give you some random, usually useless item. But in this dungeon, the rare Master Ball loot has the chance to give you one of the 2 Mega Stones needed to Mega Evolve Delta Latios and Latias. Once I realized this, I started to notice most people I was running dungeons with were just bum rushing the dungeon to find any Master Ball loot. Then, after searching every nook and cranny, they would do the tasks and complete the dungeon. This would balloon the time you're stuck in the dungeon because nobody was doing the tasks for about a minute or 2. So I cracked my knuckles and decided to give myself all the advantages I could. I started going in with an Elytra and rockets so I could fly under the map and get out ahead of everybody and loot faster. Then I noticed I was missing some of the loot because the Pokeballs are so small. I decided to make myself a texture pack that would make the Master Ball loot bigger so it would be easier for me to see. Even with all of these advantages, I still didn't get a single Megastone for either Latios or Latias. I did dungeons for 6 hours and 50 minutes and got nothing to show for it. This was way worse than the Mega Manaphy hunt because this was a limited time event that is currently done. It's insane that if I ran out of fragments at any point, I was basically boned until I went to fish to find more, and for the fact that if I wanted to spend in-game money, at the time, there was no set price for both Megastones because they were so rare. After the event, they were both going for 10 million in all. that is more money than I got from fishing and running dungeons. This next section will be a bit shorter because the Delta server is taking steps towards undoing this. For a long time, this server is using pre-existing designs made by artists and just giving them credit in the Pokemon stat page on their Discord. The Delta Cobblemon server was stealing Fakemon designs from artists on DeviantArt, Instagram, Twitter, basically anywhere. And they were making them 3D models and putting them on the server. This is extremely funny because with the amount of money the server is definitely making, there is no way they can't afford to commission artists. Since I was so fed up with all of this grinding, I decided to take it upon myself to free these Fakemons from their shackles and make a private server for me and my friends, where we don't have to grind 24/7. Thankfully, this is an option that you can pursue if you know how to do so. This is a much more fun way of enjoying these Pokemon designs and sets without wasting tens of hours grinding. And no, this pack is not publicly available. You can do it yourself fairly easily. This was not that hard. Honestly, if the grinds for the Pokemon and Megastones took less than 4 hours or so each, I'd say the server could be a hell of a lot better. I feel like my criticisms are only valid if you really want to get into the server, and if you're fine with not getting the shiny new toy, and are fine with just playing with normal Pokemon or the easier to get ones, you'll probably be fine and have a good time. With this being the biggest Cobblemon server out there, I just wish it was a little bit better. This was my first real return to making a video in about 5 years, and I hope you liked it. And don't send hate towards the Cobblemon Delta team. It's a mostly free-to-play public server made by a small team. See you around. Bye.